Welcome back. I'm joined again by Chef Anthony, and we are making pasta this morning, specifically rolling out some raviolis.
Yes, we're going to have some fun this morning. So this is the pasta that I had earlier, and what I've done is I've cut my pasta ball into 4 pieces.
Okay.
And you can do this, you don't have to use a pasta machine if you don't have one. You happen to be lucky enough to have one. So
if you don't, then you just roll it out with a rolling pin?
Roll it out with a rolling pin.
Okay.
And don't forget that this is since we're doing raviolis, it's a doubled up noodle. So you want to make sure that you get it thin enough. And that way you don't dough it.
Okay.
So, sorry, as I'm rolling it through here, as you see, I'm rolling it through a little bit at a time. I have plenty of flour on it so that it doesn't stick.
We're coming to pay a visit. We want to make sure that everybody can hear Mr. Chef Anthony because he's making such a fantastic
I just turned your mic
meal.
on. There we go.
So here we go, rolling through. And I love this pasta machine. It's very simple. You can pick these up online really cheap.
Really?
You can pick them up with our friends over at Allied Restaurant Supply, and you can order them. Occasionally you can find the big machines at your local retail stores. So what I have here is just my nice big piece. It's not as big as you would hope, but we go through and we roll it out, and we're going to cut it down.
Okay.
So that we can stuff them. And the idea behind fresh pasta is that no 2 pieces are the same. So cutting it into strips, cutting it into noodles, making tortellini, the non-uniformity is what makes it unique.
Okay.
And special. So I have made our stuffing, which is the habanero pineapple brats from Simon Market.
Yes.
And I've mixed it with a little bit of my fresh herbs and provolone cheese. So it gives a little saltiness to it. And then we have our pasta sauce over here. And this is wonderful. This takes about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to make, but it is so wonderful in its flavors. 2 ounces of carrots, 2 ounces of onions, 1 ounce of salt pork, and let it sit and cook together for a while. Then add in 16 ounces of tomatoes, crushed tomatoes. I like to do roasted tomatoes, so I put them in the oven, peel them, get all that goodness off of them, and then I mix them in. Let it all cook together for about 1 hour, and then blend it down fine. And you can do that in a food processor, you can do it in your blender, you can do it with an immersion blender, whatever you like, until you have no chunks left in it, and then let it cook for about another hour, just slowly coming down. If it starts to get too thick or too hot, just add a little chicken stock to it.
There you go.
So we have our pasta pieces. I'm going to go one more turn on our rollers and roll these through. Oh, look at that. Nice and beautiful. So we're going to start with 3 raviolis this morning. And like I said, the uniqueness of the shapes is part of making fresh pasta. So
out of 1 ball, you're getting about 3 raviolis. So if you did that out of all of them, then...
Well, it all depends on how big you make them too.
Yeah.
This particular pasta machine actually has a ravioli attachment that makes life really nice. But I tend to not use it because I like my raviolis bigger. So, and me...
Well, we've got quite a bit to
everything's
stuff
bigger.
into them, so...
So, bigger is better every time. And
I
we're
will
going
try
to
not
give
to
these...
comment.
You are ornery this morning, aren't you?
Maybe.
So here we have our pieces. I'm going to cut this one in half again.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a little bit of our filling, put it right in the middle, and then I'm going to wet the edges. Just wetting the edges helps them to stick together just a little bit easier. And then roll it over.
Okay.
Pinch them shut. Make sure you keep everything inside of your
Is there a
noodle.
traditional shape for doing this, like making
Usually
a
it's
triangle, or does it
Usually it's square.
square?
Some people do a round one, like if they were making a pierogi with mashed potatoes. It just all depends on the individual. Some people like to make them look like a dumpling. So there you go.
Is that too much?
Nope, that looks good. And the dough, if you leave it just a little on the thicker side, it will help to stretch just a little bit as you're making it. And you'll fold it right on up.
Roll it in half. The key is to get everything inside with a good seal.
Yes. Now, when you're all done, if you like, you can get ravioli cutters. They look like a stamp. So you can just go through and roll it out and then lay them over on top of each other.
Or you could use a fork.
Or you can use a fork, whatever you like. I like to make mine and then take a fork and give it a little...
Pretty decorative seal.
Yeah, a little bit of a decorative seal on the edge. Cut off any oddball looking pieces. There you go.
I like what you said about making each one look different.
And the uniqueness is what makes them so good. We're going to give that one more run. That's just a little on the thick side.
What's a good thickness that we're shooting for? I mean, if we're telling people at home.
You want to go for a little bit more than a dime. Or right around a dime thickness.
Because right now I would say it was about as thick as that knife.
About as thick as the spine of my knife.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
And patience. The thing with pasta is you can't rush it. You have to have patience with it. And there we go.
What happens if you make it too thin? Are they going to break?
They'll break while they cook in. They'll break when you're trying to make them.
I guess it's just something you learn over time. Like, oh, I made them too thin last time. Let's go a little bit thicker in the future.
Exactly. So
trial by error type thing.
And we're going to do one more wet. But I'm also going to show you just how easy it is. Do you remember the chicken and dumplings we made? Mm-hmm. Grandma's chicken noodle soup? These work wonderful for that.
Okay.
Because once you get there, we're going to cut this one here into some unique shapes.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead and go to break and then, or do you want to get some in the pot before we go to break?
They only cook for about a minute, so they will be done before we come back from break. So if you want to go to break, we can do that.
Let's go ahead and go to break, and then we will come back and check out our raviolis as we pull them out of the pot. We'll be right back.